Hello everyone, how's it going? And welcome to this very special Wild Rift video. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at every single new item in Wild Rift patch 4.4 and over 40 item changes that's going to be happening in Wild Rift patch 4.4. Now, you're probably wondering, how do you know all of this? Well, as you can see on screen, I'm currently in game and I'm in practice mode in Wild Rift patch 4.4. Huge massive shout out to Riot for inviting me over to the Wild Rift beta server. This is different to the Chinese PBE. As you can see, everything is in English. It's not translated or anything like that. I'm able to run around, do a bunch of stuff. So this is a little leak as well, because I will be doing a Fiddlesticks guide as well over the next few days. And I'm going to be doing so much more content on all the new things that are coming for Wild Rift patch 4.4. So if you're looking forward to that, and if you're looking forward to this video, make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel, because it's going to be an absolute whirlwind of the next few months that I'm super excited about. Now, let's settle down a little bit because we have a lot to get through in this video. I'm going to leave timestamps in the description, but as I mentioned already, we're going to be taking a look at over 40 item changes that happened in patch 4.4 and 8 new items. We're going to see all the stats, all the passives, everything that you need to know, and I'll give you all my opinions and let you know what I think of these items. Right, let's head straight into it. First off, we're going to take a look at the defensive items. Now, not really much has changed too much in terms of the defensive items. There is just one new tier 2 item that's coming in for Wild Rift patch 4.4, and that new tier 2 item is this item here, Surging Scales. Now, this item costs 1,300 gold. It builds on 2 cloth armors. So you need to buy 2 cloth armors to be able to upgrade into Surging Scales. And the passive, as you can see there, Scourge, you gain 20% slow resist while in combat with an enemy champion. Now, I don't think this is going to be really too impactful. You know, slow resistance, I can't really think of too many champions that slow a lot during the early game. But the big thing is this is going to build into probably two of the strongest support, two of the strongest tank items, especially to do with armor anyway. I'm going to click on this, and as you can see, it builds into Dead Man's Plate, Amarant's Twin Guard, and also Mantle of the 12th Hour. I'll get to Sheen and also Drum's Fist in just a second. We'll get checked out in the attack section, test section, and the ability section, the magic section. But we're seeing here, Mantle of the 12th Hour has been changed. Now, the big thing about all these 3 items that build into Surging Scale is that the stats itself have not changed. None of the combined costs have changed. None of the stats on the tier 3 items have changed or anything like that. The only thing that's changed now is the build path. So the build path from Mantle of the 12th Hour is now a Negatron Cloak and also Surging Scale, instead of being chain armor, chain vest like it was before. Same with Twin Guards. Negatron Cloak and Surging Scale. Again, nothing has changed with the item or the passive. It's just the build path. And the same with Dead Man's Plate. You get to build it with Surging Scale now. Now, this means 1 or 2 good things. So the good thing is that you won't be standing on too much gold anymore. And also buying 2 chain vests is also going to be pretty nice. It's a lot better than buying 1 chain vest and going into chainmail, for example. Again, as I said, 1,300 gold is quite a lot to build into an item that doesn't really benefit you too much with the passive, but since it builds into so many good items, it's going to be very powerful. But you can see here, you can compare it for yourself, and I'm going to show you screenshots on the screen that compare all of these items. But again, you can see nothing has changed with the items at all. They have pretty much stayed the exact same. One other tank item that has changed is Thorn Mail. Now, the big thing about Thorn Mail and Grievous Wounds items in general is that they have completely changed. So before, with Grievous Wounds items, you had a 40% and you had a 60%. The 40% is when you just attack or use an ability, or in this instance with Thorn Mail, when you take damage, you're just going to apply Grievous Wounds or 40% Grievous Wounds to that enemy. Now that 40% is going to go up to 50%. But the big thing now is you don't have that enhanced 60% Grievous Wounds anymore. You might have seen here, you know, Thorn Mail, it doesn't have that. You know, when you CC a champion, you get 60% Grievous Wounds, or you apply 60% Grievous Wounds instead of 40%. Now you don't have that. You just have 50% Grievous Wounds, and that's going to be the same. It doesn't matter if you CC, doesn't matter if enemies are high on health or low on health. anything like that. It's just going to be 50% grievous wounds, and that's it. Nothing has changed in terms of the build path with Thornmail. It stayed the same, and also with Bramble Vest, that has also stayed the same. Again, this applies 40% grievous wounds, but this is going to be a running theme with also Morellonomicon and Mortal Reminder that we'll get into a little bit later on. Right, now is where the big stuff comes in, and I mean the big stuff comes in. Magic items. You can see here all of the new magic items. You got Mejai, you got Crown Guard, you got Trident, you got Runa's Hurricane, which is in the magic items now, which I'm excited to get into. But first, we're going to be scrolling all the way down to our basic tier 1 items. You can see there's one new tier 1 item that you can build, and that is the Ring of Revelation. This starting item costs 400 gold. It's not going to be that great for you as a starting item. I wouldn't recommend building this at all as a starting item. It's a lot more gold efficient to get health early game, or to get attack damage, or even ability power. Ability haste in the early game, especially during the early laning phase, is not going to give you that much benefit. It does only cost 400 gold compared to 500 gold. So it also does mean that you're going to be left with 100 gold sitting in the bank doing absolutely nothing at the start of the game. But the big thing now with this Ring of Revelation is this is a new item that is going to build into Sheen. Now, this is pretty crazy because Sheen itself is also going down by, I believe it's 100 gold. On the live server, Sheen costs 900 gold, and on this, Sheen only costs 800. So Sheen is going down to 800 gold. The passive is staying exactly the same. There is nothing changing with the passive at all. The passive is staying exactly the same. But the big thing is, as I mentioned, is that you're going to be able to build that tier 1 item into the Sheen item. So you're going to get a little bit of a benefit early on for now going for that Sheen item. And we don't have that on the live server. At the moment, the live server, Sheen is 900 gold. It's super expensive. But now it's only 800 gold, and also you have an item to build into it. So I think it's a really nice change for Sheen, and it's going to be really nice. Right, we're going to take a look at another new item now. We're going to be taking a look at a new tier 2 item, which is Hextech Alternator. This might be very familiar for those of you that are coming over from PC League of Legends. Maximum health and ability power, and the Rift passive, damaging abilities and empowered attacks against champions deal bonus magic damage. So it's kind of similar to Luden's in a way, but you don't have that splash damage. But any abilities or empowered attacks, you're just going to be dealing a little bit of damage. Now you're asking, what does this build into now? This builds into Crown Guard and also Rift Maker, which we'll get into a little bit later on. But you can see the components are quite nice. You have a Ruby Crystal, you have the Amplifying Tome as well, and these two items build into that 1400 tier 2 item. Now this is going to be quite a running theme in this video as well, but there's a lot of expensive tier 2 items that now build from 2 tier 1 items instead of just 1, which is, I think, a great change overall for Wild Rift. The next change is to Oblivion Orb. Now Oblivion Orb is costing 100 extra gold, but we are getting an extra 5 AP over to Oblivion Orb. Sorry, I got my comparisons on my screen as well that I'm looking at. So Oblivion Orb now gives you 35 ability power, and also it also costs 100 gold more. You can see there's a little bit of difference there in terms of the grievous wounds as well. So now it's dealing magic damage to enemies, inflicts you with 40% grievous wounds, which is the same as before, but it just doesn't have the description of grievous wounds reduces effectiveness of healing or anything. They just got rid of that text. But yeah, Oblivion Orb, a little bit more expensive now, but it does give you a little bit of extra ability power. So it's still going to be very powerful to go for Oblivion Orb if you're against a lot of healing on the enemy team. Next up is Haunting Guise. Haunting Guise is now 50 less HP. It's gone from 150 health down to 100 health, but the item now costs 200 less gold. So it's a lot more, again, a lot more viable to go for Haunting Guise now as not a starting item, but it's a lot more beneficial now to go for Haunting Guise if you want to go for this item. And again, this builds into quite a few decent items that we'll get into a little bit later on, especially Trident, which we'll get into, which is going to be quite nice. But again, a cheaper item, same ability power, but we are going to get that little bit less maximum health. The next one we're going to go into is Needlessly Large Rod. Now, Needlessly Large Rod has a different build path and also has five more, ability power. Now, Needlessly Large Rod costs 100 more gold. It has 5 more ability power, but the build path is now 2 amplifying tomes instead of 1. Again, really, really nice change. I really love this change because sometimes it's very difficult to build 1 amplifying tome and wait for so much gold to build into that Needlessly Large Rod. But now 2 amplifying tomes builds into that Needlessly Large Rod, so it's a lot smoother of a build path. You're not going to be waiting for that much gold anymore. It's a lot smoother. 2 amplifying tomes is nice. Again, it's a little bit more expensive, but it does give you an extra 5 ability power. Next one is the Lost Chapter, which is going to be the next one. I've got so many different screens. I went through a list of all the item changes, so I got a big massive list. So Lost Chapter, we lost 150 gold on Lost Chapter, and we also have no more ability haste, but we do have a little bit more mana. So still 30 ability power, you get 200 maximum mana now, but you don't get the ability haste, and that will go into a little bit what I'm talking about later on with some of the tier 3 items that are changing. But again, another strong contest for a very strong early game item. You could pair Lost Chapter to something like Haunting Guys. You know, do you want the HP from Haunting Guys? They both give you the same amount of ability power, or would you rather have the maximum mana? It kind of depends what you're really building into as a tier 3 item. Right, here we go. This is going to be insane. We're going to be moving into the tier 3 items. Now, you're probably wondering, what the hell is Runan's Hurricane doing here as a tier 3 item? And don't worry, I can explain everything with this because it is very, very confusing, and there is a lot going on here with Runan's Hurricane. I just have to try and find Runan's Hurricane in my list as well to make sure that I'm not doing anything wrong. Cool. Runan's Hurricane. It's lost its crit. No more crit anymore for Runan's Hurricane. We've kept the same attack speed, 45% attack speed. But look at these insane new passives that Runan's Hurricane is going to get. It does cost 100 more gold, but honestly, I definitely think it's worth it. Now, the Wind's Fury, the first passive, has stayed the exact same. We're still going to be scaling with attack damage, and also the bolts are going to be able to critically strike on hits. But now we get 2 more passives. Wind's Favor, which is very similar to Nash's Tooth, where we're now going to be gaining AD or AP adaptive. So the more ability power you have in your build, you're going to get 60 AP. The more AD you have in the build, you're going to get 30 AD. But on top of that as well, the Wind Blade also attacks deal 15 bonus physical damage on hit against targets. Now, I do still think that this is going to be primarily an AD item, just because the Wind's Fury passive still scales off attack damage. Yes, you get the ability power from Wind's Favor, but it doesn't mean too much. And also the bolts can still critically strike, so you still want to build this in a crit build, but it means you can flex this as kind of a last item for AD carries. But I wanted to show you why it's in the ability power section. It's because now the Wind's Fury passive, you can get ability power for this item. The build path has changed as well, which I'll get into a little bit later on. But as you can see with the build path, it looks completely different than what it did before, because we got the recurve bow with two daggers, and then we also have the Nash's Talon as well, which is going to be absolutely crazy. Right, onto the actual AP items now that we're going to get into. Mejai's Soulstealer. Very cheap, very, very cheap item, Mejai's Soulstealer. 1 amplifying tome, and then you need 1,000 gold to go into Mejai's Soulstealer. If you're a part of PC League of Legends, if you know PC League of Legends, then you know exactly what Mejai's will gift you. Now, the important thing is we don't have Darksteel, so you have to actually spend quite a lot of money to go into Mejai's if you really want to. We don't have Darksteel to try and get the stacks of Mejai's before we actually buy the item. But Mejai's, 100 maximum health, 30 ability power, and 7% magic penetration. You're going to be seeing that 7% magic penetration a lot in this video, a lot, because there is no more void staff. But it does mean that pretty much all the items are now going to be giving magic penetration. So we have a lot of different passives here. It might seem very confusing, but trust me, it's very simple to understand. So glory. So you can gain up to 30 stacks in total for Mejai's. Very simple. Melee champions gain 3 stacks for each kill and 2 stacks for each assist. Ranged champions gain 4 attacks for each kill and 2 attacks for each 2 stacks, sorry, for each assist. So whether you're a melee or ranged champion, if you're getting assists or takedowns, you're still going to get 2 stacks. The big thing is that you get 4 stacks for a ranged champion and 3 stacks for a melee champion. Another big thing is that you'll lose 10 stacks on death. So if you go all the way up to 10 stacks, if you get like a few kills, like you get 3 kills and you get 1 assist, that's 10 stacks, or that's over 10 stacks, that's 11, sorry. You die, you're going all the way back down to 1 stack for Mejai. So this is a very high risk, high reward item. But you also have the fear passive. So gain 5 AP for every stack of glory you have. 5 ability power for every single stack you have. That means that you can go up to 150 ability power in total with Mejai's on top of the 30 ability power that the item already has. That means if you get 4 stacks of Mejai's, you are getting a whopping 180 ability power with this item for 1,500 gold. So if you feel confident, if you're playing an AP assassin, an AP mage, you want to try and get the early advantage, you feel like you're better than the enemy team, then go for this item. It's going to be insane. And at 10 stacks of glory and above, you gain 10% movement speed as well, which is just going to be a passive movement speed. Now I want to show you one quick little tip here for Mejai's Soulstealer. Now you're probably wondering, you know, oh, all these new items, you know, you're going to be doing all these new builds on your website, all this sort of stuff is going to happen. I got a little tip for you before I even update the website, and this is exclusive on this video and no one else knows about this at all. Now look at this. If I level up a few times, now you're probably wondering the same thing as what I'm thinking when I'm going to be picking Kai'Sa in this situation. We get a little bit of gold. Watch this. Magic item. Remember, 1,500 gold. I can upgrade my Kai'Sa's abilities for 1,500 gold with Mejai's Soulstealer. This is going to be absolutely insane. It's going to be so insane for her AP build. Only spending 1,500 gold to get her first ability upgraded, and everyone should know how important it is to get her first ability upgraded. So as you can see, only 1,500 gold and we can upgrade our first ability with Kai'Sa. That's a little tip there for you. As soon as patch 4.4 comes out, only the people that watch this video up until this point knows about this little bit of a change, and also a little bit of a tip with Kai'Sa. So yeah, Mejai's I think it's gonna be very powerful. The way you can see it is that if you're able to get 9 stacks, then you're going to get more value for your money, because you can add it up very easily. If you add up 3 amplifying tomes, for example, or you just compare it to a needlessly large rod. Needlessly large rod gives you 65 ability power. Mejai's gives you 30 at the start, and then you want to try and get as many stacks as possible. So for every stack, you gain 5 ability power. So 35, 40, 45, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65. 7 stacks. That's what we need. We need 7 stacks to be able to get the same value as needlessly large rods. So 3 stacks for a kill, 3 stacks for a kill, and maybe 1 extra assist as well. So 2 kills and 1 assist is going to give you more value for Mejai's than what it does for needlessly large rods. So that's kind of the way you want to look at it. If you have over 3 kills, then, or if you think that you're going to get over 3 kills, then Mejai's is going to be worth your value for money. Right, that was a long one, but I mean, this is going to be a long video. I'm expecting it, but I want to go super in depth with every single one of these items, and I want you all to know exactly when to go for these items and when is the best time to go for them. Another new item, Trident. I'm not even going to try and mention the first part of this name. Oceanid's Trident. I'm not even going to try and pronounce the first part. This is finally our AP shield item. This is going to be stopping shields. This is going to be negating shields. This is what we've wanted for such a long time. Lux, Janna, Lulu. All these champions with shields are annoying to deal with. The only champions that can really deal with it at the moment are ADS excuse me, are AD assassins that build Serpent's Fang. But now we have a new AP item that can reduce this shielding on enemy champions. So Trident, 200 maximum health, 80 ability power, 7% magic penetration, and 10 ability haste. And you can see the lethal weapon is pretty much the same as Serpent's Fang. Dealing ability damage to an enemy champion, reduces any shields they gain for a few seconds. Area of effect abilities are going to be less than just targeted abilities. So any area of effect is actually going to give less shield reduction than targeted abilities, for example. You can see, you can read it all there. It's pretty much an anti-shield item for AP mages that we have wanted for a long time. But not only that, is that this is a very cheap item. This is 2,600 gold. This is one of the cheapest items that we are going to get in Wild Rift. Only 100 more gold than Imperial Mandate. And since this item gives you 80 ability power, which by the way is only 5 less ability power than Luden's Echo, I think this item is going to be very powerful and will maybe be like a second or third item if you're against a lot of shielding. The amount of value that you get from this item and how cheap it is and how much ability power you get is going to be absolutely incredible. I think the build path is very nice as well. We got Haunting Guys for the build path and blasting ones, so you've got 2 nice 900 items. It's going to go up to 1,800 gold, so we're gonna have to wait like 800 gold to be able to get up to the Trident, but I think it's definitely going to be worth it. I think this item is going to be very powerful, it's going to be very strong, and again, as I mentioned, it's very cheap. Right, Horizon Focus is going to be the next item we are going to be focusing on. Haha, I did that. That was definitely not intended to be a pun there, as I was skipping through all my screenshots, making sure I have the comparisons and everything ready of going through all of them. Right, Horizon Focus. Let's take a look at this one, shall we? So Horizon Focus. The only thing that's changed with Horizon Focus is we're adding the percent ability power. Percent magic penetration, sorry. Again, this is going to be a lot of things with these magic items that these magic pen items are just going to be, that's going to be it. Percent magic pen, really nice. Pretty much added on all items because Void Staff is gone. Nothing else has changed with Horizon Focus. The build path is the same, the passives are the same, the stats are the same. We're only just adding percent magic penetration. Riftmaker, next item. Again, we're adding the percent magic penetration that I mentioned already, and the build path has changed. We now get to go build this new item, which is the Hextech Alternator, instead of that Nash's item, which I believe it was before. Oh no, it's Haunting Guys before, sorry. It was Haunting Guys before, but now it's going to be the Hextech Alternator, and we still build into the Fiendish Codex as well. So I think this is going to be a lot better build path for Riftmaker, because this tier 2 item is a lot more expensive, and also I think it's a better item as well to go for Riftmaker. So I think it's very nice that Riftmaker is going to get that. And again, Riftmaker is going to be saying pretty much the exact same in terms of stats and passive and everything like that. The only thing is magic penetration added and build path has been changed. Cosmic Drive, the next item. Again, Cosmic Drive hasn't changed at all. The only thing that's been added is the percent magic penetration. Passive has stayed the same. The stats have stayed the same. The build path has stayed the same. We're only adding magic penetration. Imperial Mandate, not changed at all. Everything is exactly the same. Another new item, a Crown of the Shattered Queen. I think this is going to be pretty insane for mages. You know how they were mentioned in the patch preview? Oh, we want to buff mages. We want to give them new items. This is probably one of the best items they could have given to AP mages, and also, I have to mention, AP assassins at the same time. This item is, like as I mentioned, really good for AP assassins, but also could be very good for any late game mages because of the big massive shield that you get. Now, you're probably looking at this item, you're probably thinking, what the? There's so many stats, and I totally agree with you. 150 health, 70 ability power, 7 magic penetration, 200 maximum mana, and 10 ability haste. There is a lot with Crown of the Shattered Weak. You can also see the build path. We're going to be building from Hextech Alternator and also Lost Chapter. So again, a pretty nice build path there to go into. And actually, that goes into what? 2,300 gold. So you only got 700 combined cost for Crown Guard, which is pretty nice. But the big thing is this passive. Safeguard grants a spell shield that blocks the next hostile ability. Incoming damage by 70% for a few seconds. So basically, when you get hit by any champion ability at all, you're going to be gaining a shield for 1.5 seconds that will block 70% damage. 70% damage. Hey, that Kha'Zix that's trying to jump on an Orianna, that Evelynn that's trying to jump on an Ahri, you just build Shattered of the, you build the Crown of the Shattered Queen, and you'll be able to stop 70% of that burst damage. Again, it's going to be so powerful for mages as a late game item. But at the same time, this is also going to be very good for AP assassins. Not only are they going to be dealing a lot of damage already with how much magic penetration and also what changes are happening to the items, but they can also build this item to be unkillable at the same time as one-shotting enemy carries. This item is going to work insanely well on Fizz, on Kassadin, on Evelynn. It's going to be really exciting. Yeah, build path really good, stats are really good, passives really good. I think overall a great item being added into Wild Rift. Crystalline Reflector, you could basically call this a new item. I'll be totally honest with you, this item is completely new now to what it was before. Very new to what it was before. Oh, I forgot about Cosmic Drive. Oh my god, how did I oh no, I didn't forget about Cosmic Drive, did I? I did Cosmic Drive because that was just the ability power being added. Yeah, sorry. Crystalline Reflector, as I mentioned, this could pretty much be a new item. You can see the difference here on screen. We are losing 10 armor, we're keeping the ability power, we're losing the ability haste, but now we're gaining 150 maximum health. So it's pretty much a new item coming in with a brand new passive as well. It also costs 100 extra gold. So new passive, each time the ability cast grants a mirror shard that lasts 3 seconds. The shard will block a flat amount of damage now between 8 and 15. It's scaling now. So it's not just 10 physical damage. It's now 8 to 15 incoming physical damage from enemy champions and deals magic damage equal to 10, which is your flat amount, plus 3 ability power. And now this item scales with bonus health. So I think they want this item to be more of a, it's weird, it's like an AP tank item against AD champions, because what AP mages are going to be building bonus health? Like, I can only see this, I'm trying to think of some AP mages off the top of my head that might benefit from this. Maybe someone like Gwen could maybe benefit from this, Kassadin, but there's so many better items now. Like, both of them champions want to build you know, Crown of the Shattered Queen instead of Crystalline Reflector. So I think that overall the item is just dead pretty much. You know, the passive before was ability grants, ability cast grant a mirror shard up to 3 that blocks, you know, 10 physical damage from the enemies each time, and then you deal that magic damage that scales with AP. So it scaled with AP a lot before and it was really good. But also one thing to note as well is it says the ability cast grants grant a mirror shard. But after each ability cast grant a mirror shard that lasts 3 seconds. So it seems like you can get more stacks now. You can get more than 3 stacks for Crystalline Reflector if you're able to do a lot of burst damage and you're able to do a lot of ability damage at a short amount of time. Because before, Crystalline Reflector was up to 3. Now you can just use as many abilities if you want to, because it just says each ability can last up to 3 seconds. So you got that 3-second window to try and use as many abilities as possible. So you can gain more stacks, which means you can block more physical damage, and also you can maybe potentially deal more magic damage, but now it scales with bonus health. Interesting change to Crystalline Reflector. I honestly think this is probably one of the worst AP items in the game, but let me know what you think of it. I don't think it's going to be that great. Start for the Foam Water, no changes here. The item is pretty much the same. Build path is the same. Item is still the same. Right, Infinity Orb. What this item is going to be absolutely insane. You can see here, Infinity Orb. We still have the ability power. We still have the movement speed. We still have the flat plus 15 magic penetration, but now we have the percent magic penetration on top of it. So we're going to be getting 15% flat magic pen, and we're also going to get 7% magic penetration on top of each other. This is going to be absolutely incredible of an item. And this is not the only item that's also getting this flat magic penetration and also the percent magic penetration. But as you can see, the passive has not changed at all. The passive has stayed the exact same, and the build path has also stayed the exact same. So you can still build Prophet's Pendant, you can get the flat magic penetration like you did before. That still works completely fine. But this item now giving you percent magic penetration and flat magic penetration is going to be huge. And that is the exact same with our next item, Awaken Soulstealer, which Awaken Soulstealer now gives us 150 health, 65 ability power, 20 ability haste, which is exactly the same. We still have the plus 15 magic pen. Again, we're going to get 7% magic penetration on top of the 15% flat magic penetration. So it's incredible that you can stack the flat pen and also the percent pen on top of each other. So I think especially Infinity Orb is going to be a must-buy item. I don't know if 2 is going to be good enough because of how strong the other AP items are. I think Infinity Orb is going to be really strong. Maybe Awakened Soulstealer might be built on some other champions, but I think Infinity Orb is the better out of these 2 items in general. But still, really strong item. Also, the build path has changed as well. You can see here that you have to buy the extra tier 1 item. The Prophet's Pendant and everything else is still there, but since now we got the ability power as the tier 1 item, we're going to be building that instead. So a little bit of a difference there in terms of the build path. Harmonic Echo, again, you can see that the build path is going to be pretty much the same now as the Awakened Soulstealer one, just a few other few different tier 2 items. We now have to build Ring of Revelation, which, to be honest, I actually think makes the item better, because with this change, it means that you're not going to be sitting on too much gold. You know, before you'd have to sit on this 400 gold and you have to wait to try and build into Harmonic Echo, which before, by the way, was like 900 gold that you had to sit on, and you had to wait 900 gold to build Harmonic Echo. But now you can build this tier 1 item and get that little bit of extra ability haste to help you until you get into the full item. So I think this build path is a really nice change, but overall the item not changing at all. AP staying the same, passive staying the same. I say staying the same. This is what it's going to look like in patch 4.3D as well. So not only are we seeing the 4.4 stuff, we're also seeing patch 4.3D stuff as well. So we're hitting 2 birds with 1 stone with this video, which is quite nice. Ardent Center, nothing's changed here. I think the big thing is that none of the support items really changed, and all of them stayed pretty much exactly the same, because they're not really carry AP items, they're more support items. So again, build path is exactly the same, ability power, stats are the same, everything else. Nash's Tooth. Now, Nash's Tooth is changing. Again, I'm trying to find where Nash's Tooth is. It's the build path that's changing for Nash's Tooth. So yeah, instead of building into the Stinger, we're now going to be building into Recurve Bow, if I'm not mistaken. Hopefully, I've got that right. I'm just going to be murking my way all the way over to Nash's Tooth to make sure that I didn't make a mistake on that one. I don't think I did. I think I actually said the correct thing there for Nash's Tooth, or it's just or I just didn't check Nash's Tooth, I guess. Cool. I guess I didn't even check Nash's Tooth. Actually, Nash's Tooth was my first item that I checked, so I have to go all the way to the first image. Yeah, there you go. So yeah, instead of Stinger, you're going to be building into the new Recurve Bow, which we'll get into a little bit more detail in the AD section of the build, but you can see a little bit of a bonus there that you get for Nash's Tooth. But overall, the item itself hasn't changed. It's just the build path that has changed. Sorry, it just took me a little while to get to that part of the picture, because I screenshotted everything. I made sure that I got everything covered before I actually started recording this video. So that's Nash's Tooth covered. Next one is Archangel Staff. Now the crazy thing is even Archangel Staff is also getting percentage magic penetration as well. Again, it's going to be an on-running theme here for all of these items. Overall, Archangel Staff has not changed, and also the upgraded version. The staff, I can't even remember what the upgraded version of Archangel Staff is. Whatever this one is. There we go. Seraph's Embrace. That's the one. You can see Seraph's Embrace also gives you percentage magic penetration. But you can see the build path has changed ever so slightly for Archangel Staff. We still go for the tier. We still go for Lost Chapter. But again, they're adding this new tier 1 item in there to make sure that you're going to be, and you know, you're going to be helped out a little bit. You don't need to wait for, in this instance, it's 1,100 gold that you have to wait before you can finish Archangel Staff. So getting a little bit of ability haste is going to help you out and just, again, give you that little bit of ease and a little bit of comfort when you're building these items. You don't have to sit on so much gold and be, you know, really, really far behind. Lichbane is our next item. You can see here that it's just the kind of the build path being changed for Lichbane, again because the sheen is going into the tier 1 item, and also we have to build another amplifying tome now. Again, making another item added onto this tier 3 item is really, really nice. I think it's going to be really beneficial. And also Lichbane has the % magic penetration as well, so we're going to be dealing with pretty much the exact same thing. Rod of Ages also has % magic penetration. That's the only change for Rod of Ages. Everything else is the same. The passive, everything else is the same. Build path is the same. The big thing is % magic penetration is going to be added to Rod of Ages. Liandry's Torment, again, added the magic pen. Again, pretty much the same as what pretty much every single item is at the moment. And also we're getting plus 50 health to Liandry's Torment. No change in terms of the price is still staying at 3,000 gold, and the build path has changed ever so slightly as well. So with that extra 50 health, we also have to buy an extra ruby crystal. So really nice buff overall to Liandry's. We got another tier 1 item that we can build into Liandry's, and also the item itself is just getting a really nice buff, but the stats and everything else is not changing. Again, it's just getting % magic penetration. Rylai's is the only item that hasn't got the % magic penetration. I feel like that's more of a carry AP item in a way, but that hasn't changed at all. Rabadon's Death Cap. A few changes here for Rabadon's Death Cap. Again, we've added they've added the % magic penetration, again because Void Staff is no longer a thing. We now lose 10 ability power for Death Cap, so it's gone from 110 ability power all down to 100 ability power. But the big thing now is the passive change for Rabadon's Death Cap. So before it was you increase your ability power by 40%. So 40% overall was just really, really nice. It just increased your ability power overall. But now it increases your ability power by 20 to 45%. So this item is a lot weaker now in the early game. You probably don't want to build this anymore as a second or even third item. You want to wait until the 4th or 5th item, because then you'll be able to get the 45% increase instead of the 20%. So instead of being a flat 40% amount, which is a very, very high amount, only 20% in the early game, and now it's going to be 45% when you get to level 15. So really, really big change for Death Cap. Again, making it weaker in the early game, but making it even stronger in the late game, making it actual late game powerful item that Death Cap is supposed to be. And also the build path was obviously changed as well, with Nisi Large Rod changing to double of the amplifying tomes. Morellonomicon, again, % magic penetration is there. We also got the change to anti-heal. So same with Thornmail. Dealing magic damage to enemy champions, inflict 50% grievous wounds, and we're not going to be inflicting 60% grievous wounds when enemies are low on health. So instead of 40 and 60%, we're just going to be applying or inflicting 50% grievous wounds for 3 seconds. Just a flat amount now. Really nice, really simple to understand. Really cool change. This is probably the craziest thing I think I've seen with Luden's Echo. Nothing has changed with Luden's Echo. None of the stats. It hasn't been nerfed. You would think that this item would get nerfed because it's by far the most powerful first item for any AP mage. But what they've done is they've added magic penetration, % magic penetration to this item. And they've actually made it easier to build from as well, because again we're going to be building the extra tier 1 item, which is going to build into Luna's Echo, which again is going to make it very, very nice and very, very easy for us. But the big thing is that the ability power didn't get nerfed. The Discordic Echo passive didn't get nerfed. Nothing got nerfed. We just got 7 magic penetration added to probably the best first item that you can build on AP mages for Luna's Echo. So this item just went from S tier to S+++ tier. Like, it's absolutely incredible how insane this item is. Let me take a quick drink before we get into the physical items. My voice is going. I'm too hyped for this. I'm too hyped. I'm too crazy about this. It's absolutely insane. Right. Now we're going to get into the physical items. You can scroll up here and again, you can see the new physical items and everything. We're going to be going through all of this. First physical item we're going to go through is all the way down in the tier 2 section. We're going to be taking a look at Jorm's Fist. Now Jorm's Fist is losing 25 HP, but it's also going to cost 100 less gold. It still builds from longsword, but we're just losing 25 HP and we're also losing 100 gold. I believe it still builds into the same sort of items as well. So just a little bit of a nerf there for Jorm's Fist in terms of the item in general. Gets a little bit cheaper, but also we lose a little bit of HP. Next item, Hextech. Hextech has lost its passive. No longer Hextech will have a passive. That lifeline passive that you normally get from Hextech, forget about it. It is completely gone. Not only that, we get in 5 AD now. We get 5 extra AD, but we're losing 10 magic resistance. And also it costs 100 less gold. Now, the reason why Hextech doesn't have the lifeline passive anymore is because of more Malmortius. But we'll get into that a little bit later on. We'll make sure we get into that. Don't you worry at all. Next one is Phage. Not really a big change for Phage overall. It's just losing 25 HP. Again, it's losing 100 gold. So it's just making these bruiser items a little bit more affordable, also making them a little bit cheaper. A little bit less powerful, with minus 25 HP on Phage and also minus 25 HP on Jorm's Fist. Next one, Last Whisper. Last Whisper is now getting 15% armor penetration, but now it costs 200 more gold. So if you want to build into Last Whisper, you're going to be getting extra armor penetration, but now you're going to have to kind of wait a little bit more time to get into Last Whisper. So more golds, but also more armor penetration. And you can see there's no Lord Dominic's Regards anymore to this. There's only Mortal Reminder and Serrated Grudge, which makes me really excited to show you the tier 3 items in just a little bit. BF Sword. Nothing really too crazy here for the BF Sword. It's just the build path. Build path is now 2 long swords instead of 1 long sword. Again, I love this change. I absolutely love this change. It's so difficult right now for an AD carry or anyone in general that wants to build BF Sword. You build 1 long sword, then you have to wait 1,000 gold before you're able to buy that BF sword. Sitting on 1,000 gold is not a good thing when a lot of these players and a lot of these, items can build from many different tier 1 items and many different tier 2 items before I even get to my BF sword. So I love this change for BF sword, building from 2 long swords instead of just 1. Recurve bow. I kind of talked about it a little bit earlier because we saw a couple of the items a little bit earlier. We're going to see it in more detail now. Recurve bow now costs 500 more gold. Yes, 500 more gold, but now it builds from 2 daggers, and now it has gained a new passive. Still gets 30 attack speed, but look at the passive. Reinforce. Attacks deal 15 bonus physical damage on hit against targets. So now we're going to be getting a little bit of basically AD on top of Recurve bow. That's why this item costs so much more now than what it did before. The only downside, I guess, is that it doesn't really build into a lot of great items, to be honest with you. I'll talk you in a little bit more detail of, with how good Rune's Hurricane can be, for example. Wit's End is kind of meh. Blade Rune King, kind of meh. Nash's Tooth could be good, but yeah, this is like kind of the non-crit version of an attack speed item that can build into a few. But I do like the passive anyway of Recurve bow. I do think it's very, very nice. Very expensive now, but I do think it is very, very nice. Noon Quiver. Now, I think the Noon Quiver was very, very powerful overall. You can see that Noon Quiver can now build again from longsword and now dagger instead of just longsword. It now costs 150 extra gold, but you only get 5% attack speed for it. So overall, I don't think the change is that good for Noon Quiver. I do like, again, that you can build 2 tier 1 items to build into the Noon Quiver, but it costing 150 more gold and you're only getting 5% attack speed for it. I don't really like it too much, but I think it was very powerful anyway. I think Noon Quiver is very powerful and it builds into some incredible items as well. The next one is Zeal. There's a few things happening to Zeal. Zeal is getting +5 critical strike chance, plus 100 gold, And also the build path has changed. So instead of just building from glove from before, it now builds from glove and dagger. So again, really nice build path again to be able to go into Zeal. But again, we're only gaining 5 crit chance from it. So not really too great, but again, the only item it builds into now is the new item, which we'll get into a little bit later on. But the new item is looking absolutely incredible. We already took a look at Sheen. We already know what Sheen looks like. And that means we are ready to head into the big items. The tier 3 items for AD champions. First, we're going to take a look at a new item, which is Chempunk Chainsaw. This is a new alternative now for bruisers to be able to build anti-heal. So this is going to give you grievous wounds. You can see the punishment passive there. The physical damage to enemy champions applies 50% grievous wounds for a few seconds. But this is an alternative now to Mortal Reminder, and you'll realize why it's an alternative now to Mortal Reminder, because Mortal Reminder, little tease, it has crit now, so it's not really that good on bruisers. So they had to bring in Chempunk Chainsaw, which gives 200 maximum health, 40 attack damage, and 10 ability haste. And to be honest, the build path is pretty good as well. I think overall this item is going to be very good for bruisers in the Baron lane. Any bruisers at all, really. You know, Darius, Camille, any of these bruisers that want to build anti-heal, I think Chempunk Chainsaw is going to be really, really nice. Very cheap item as well compared to how expensive, you know, Mortal Reminder was before. And you don't feel stuck on having to build like an armor pen item when you don't really feel like you need it at some points. Serpent's Fang. There's a bit of a change happening to Serpent's Fang with the passive. You can see I can scroll down here. So now it says dealing damage to an enemy champion reduces, and it says any shield, it says the shielding they gain for a few seconds. So this is already pretty big. So you can just reduce the shielding they gain for a few seconds. Now melee champions apply 10% of their bonus AD plus 40%. So now Serpent's Fang is able to scale with your attack damage. Before, it was just a flat 50% for melee champions and a flat 35% for ranged champions. Now you'll be able to scale your reducing of shielding with your bonus AD. This works exactly the same for the ability power item as well. You know, this also scales with your bonus ability power. The same with Serpent's Fang now. It's also going to be able to scale. So this means that you're going to be able to reduce the shielding a lot more often. Now this does cap at 60% for melee champions. It does cap at 45% for ranged champions, but comparing that to 50% and 35% before, so now it's going to be 60% and 45%. It's going to be a lot more powerful. And to be honest, most of the time when you're building Serpent's Fang, you're building a lot of other AD items anyway, so you're going to get to that 60% mark very, very quickly. Moving on to Hullbreaker, plus 25 HP and plus 100 gold. Nothing else has changed at all. The passive hasn't changed, nothing like that. You can see everything on screen now. Nothing has changed. We're just getting plus 25 HP to Hullbreaker and plus 100 health. Build path hasn't changed at all. Again, we can build double longsword now with the BF sword, but maybe it's to do with the Joram's Fist change. Not too sure. Very interesting that Hullbreaker is getting kind of buffed in a way. Well, I mean, it depends if you think about it. 100 gold for 25 HP. If you think about like a ruby crystal, 150 gold for 500 HP. It kind of works out to be pretty decent, to be honest with you. I think it works out to be pretty okay. So yeah, bit of a change there happening to Hullbreaker. Edge of Night. Edge of Night, the build path is just being changed. We are getting an extra longsword again for Edge of Night, making that we don't have to sit again on 2,100 gold. We can build an extra longsword, get that little bit of extra AD, and then we're not going to be sitting on 1,000 gold to try and build Edge of Night. We're only going to be sitting on 500 instead to try and build into Edge of Night. Very, very nice change. Navori hasn't changed. Obviously, Divine Sunderer, now you build into the tier 1 item. Doesn't really change. Forgot to cover Shield Bow, but that hasn't changed. You see here, sorry, Charge Blade hasn't changed. Navori, Shield Bow, Divine Sunderer, all of this hasn't changed at all. Serratus Grudge hasn't changed either. Still gets the, you still have to build the more expensive now, Last Whisper, but again, hasn't changed. It still applies to Slow. Storm Razor still the same. Essence Reaver still the same. Wit's End still the same. And then we move into Phantom Dancer. Phantom Dancer is just getting a build path change. The stats itself are not changing at all. There's no stat changes or anything like that. all we get now is, instead of building Zeal, we now go Noon Quiver, Dagger, and Crit item. Do I think this is a better build path? I don't think so. I mean, overall, your components before added up to 2,500 gold. Now they're going to add up to 2,350. So now you're actually going to be sitting on a lot more gold before you buy Phantom Dancer. So I would say it's a little bit of a nerf to Phantom Dancer, because before you built 2 tier 2 items and you only had to sit on 500 gold to be able to go into Phantom Dancer. Now you have to sit on about 700 gold, 700, 650 gold. So a little bit of a nerf there, but still the item is going to be very, very powerful. Now, we have an absolutely insane new item here. Death Stance hasn't changed. An absolutely insane item here. When I say insane, I mean absolutely insane. No more Static Shiv. No more Rapid Fire Cannon. The passives of Static Shiv and Rapid Fire Cannon have moved into one item. Magnetic Blaster. It gives you the same stats as what Static Shiv and also Rapid Fire Cannon did. So plus 25% crit chance and 35% attack speed, which is really, really nice. But look at the passives. You get the energized effect, but Power Blitz. Energized attacks generate 25% faster, which is the same as Rapid Fire Cannon. You gain 125 range, which is the same as Rapid Fire Cannon. You gain the extra magic damage, and now the damage bounces to 5 nearby enemy champions and can critical strike. So all they've done is they've moved Rapid Fire Cannon and Static Shiv into one item. And the big thing as well is that the item only costs 100 gold more than Rapid Fire Cannon and Static Shiv used to. So for 2,900 gold, you're getting double the amount of passives. You're getting the same stats that you would do if you would normally build Rapid Fire Cannon and Static Shiv. And it's just absolutely incredible. I think this item is going to be so much fun to use. You get the range and the Static Shiv bonus on top of that. I think it's going to be absolutely incredible item that you have to build on so many different champions. It's going to be really, really cool. I definitely see like Tristana probably building this item, or even Caitlyn as well. I think it's gonna be really, really good. More Malmortius. This went from the worst magic resist item to now the best magic resist item for any AD champions. It basically got the Bloodthirster passive, but instead of gaining a shield, you now gain a magic shield. But overall, you get more AD as well. I believe it's plus 10 AD. The ability haste is the same. The magic resist is still the same. I believe it costs a little bit more gold. Yeah, 200 more gold. But the new passive is so much better than the Lifeline passive from before. Demon Bane. 20% of the damage that your attack deals. Sorry, let me say that again. Sorry, I'm kind of losing my voice a bit. 20% of the damage that your attack deals is converted into a magic shield that absorbs up to 60 to 400 magic damage. And the big thing about this as well is that the shield only decays by 5% per second. So this shield does not go down very, very fast. And if you can attack over and over again, that magic shield is going to be so powerful. And you want to know the crazy thing about this? There is no cooldown to this at all. So every single time you auto attack, you're gaining a shield. If that shield goes away, the next time you auto attack, you're gaining that shield again. Now, obviously, you're not gaining 400 shield on one auto attack, but that will soon build up over time. So as I mentioned, it's gone into from the worst magic resist item to now the best magic resist item for AD bruisers, probably even AD carries as well. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think it's gonna be incredible. But you can see now it builds from double hex drinker as well, which is, I believe, different from the live version at the moment. So yeah, double hex drinker into it, which is pretty nice. 20 attack damage, 20 magic resistance. Sorry about that. Trinity Force, not changed. Again, you build into tier 1 item for Sheen. Black Cleaver is the next one. Black Cleaver is just the passive change. Sorry, not the passive change, sorry, the build path change. Black Cleaver now builds from an extra longsword. So you got Phase Rush, the Kindle Gem, and also an extra longsword. So again, it's going to be really, really nice and a lot easier to now build into Black Cleaver. Manamune hasn't changed at all. Everything stays the same with Manamune. Oh my god, everyone, the next item is going to blow your mind. Mortal Reminder. Look at this. It costs 300 extra gold. Yes, okay. Yes, it loses a little bit of AD. Yes, okay, I get that. It loses 15 AD. But look, we get critical rate now on Mortal Reminder. This is going to be a lot more expensive item now to build. This is basically taken over from Lord Dominic's Regards, because if you didn't know, Lord Dominic's Regards passive was bugged. I'm not surprised at all they got rid of this item. Mortal Reminder now being a crit item is insane, because not only are you going to fill the shoes of needing anti-heal, you're now also going to fill the shields of building crit. So you're going to be able to get 100% crit chance in 4 items, no matter what. And this opens up so many possibilities for AD carry builds. I could not stress enough, because the only 2 armor pen items you can build are Mortal Reminder and Serrader's Grudge. And the only champion that builds Serrader's Grudge is Ezreal. So every other AD carry is now going to build Mortal Reminder. And you know what that does? It opens up a last item slot for AD carries. You can go for Bloodthirster, Infinity Edge, or Mortal Reminder, and then build into something like the new item. That's your 4 crit items. That's 100% crit chance. That 5th item is left wide open. Runa's Hurricane, Nash's Tooth, Guardian Angel, more of Malmortius. So many different items that you can build now as a final item for AD carries, and I absolutely love this change. Yes, we're losing a lot of AD, but we're gaining the crit chance. We're allowing to apply Grievous Wounds as well. I love this change. Absolutely love this change. You can see the build path on screen as well. It has changed. You do have to build an extra crit cloak now, because obviously the item builds from crit chance. But still, it's pretty nice, you know. 1,300 plus the 800. It's going to be quite nice. That's 2,100. So you're sitting on like 2,600 gold. So you need an extra 700 gold to build Mortal Reminder. I don't think that's that bad at all. I think that's actually really, really good. I think it's going to be very, very powerful item coming into the new patch 4.4. Infinity Edge, you can just see the BF sword change there. Again, nothing really crazy happens with Infinity Edge. Steris Gauge still has a lifeline passive, again building from BS Sword. Nothing has changed there. Dustblade, this is a new Dustblade passive that's coming to Wildrift patch 4.3D, so you can take a look for yourself with the new passive. Ghostblade again hasn't changed, nothing really too crazy there. Runa's Hurricane I already covered, but I think it's going to be a very, very strong AD item, which by the way, Runa's Hurricane again still scales with your crit, so I think Runa's Hurricane is going to be a great last item for AD carries. Blade Rune King, again, nothing has really changed. You just build from the new recurve bow now, which has slightly changed a little bit. Now the next item I'm about to show you, Bloodthirster, is the most broken item in the game, and I'm not just like saying that out of exaggeration. I've said a lot of things about a lot of these items. This new Bloodthirster passive is going to change everything. It's really, really mind-blowing. So overall, Bloodthirster, same gold, same attack damage, same critical rate. The passive just got 20 million times better. Look at that Bloodsworn passive. You gain 11 to 25 AD and 15% attack speed when your health is above 50% HP. Now, the crazy thing is about Bloodthirster is you got a lot of physical vamp from Bloodthirster. You're going to get a lot of physical vamp as well, also from the boots from Gluttonous Grease, because it's still going to be probably the most strong, you know, the strongest items. So you already get a lot of ability, physical vamp, which means most of the time you are going to be above that 50% HP mark. So you're basically getting at least 10 AD for free, or at least 11 AD for free, and also 15% attack speed for free. This item is bonkers. It's absolutely insane. And I'm really, really looking forward to building Bloodthirster on new AD carries in patch 4.4. It's going to be super, super exciting, and I'm really, really looking forward to it. And the last change is to Nash's Tooth, which is the build path. Instead of building from Stinger, it builds into recurve bow. I'm pretty sure I already said that because it was in the AP build, wasn't it? Yes, I already said that. But that is everything. That is all the changes. The boots are not changing. These boot changes are from patch 4.3D. So things like boost of dynamism, the armor pen goes up, the cost goes down. The Berserker Grease now has 18 AD. Nothing has changed in terms of the boots upgrades or anything like that. That is everything. That is all the new items, all the changes coming to Wild Rift in patch 4.4. Like I said, you could do some wacky builds. I'm just going to come up with an ADC build right off the top of my head. Bloodthirster first item, I think this is going to be absolutely insane. Obviously, make sure you build your boots before that, Gluttonous Grease. Then we can build into Infinity Edge, which is going to be insanely powerful. Mortal Reminder, that also gives us the crit chance. Then we can go into the Magnetic Blaster to give us extra range and also spread damage. And on top of that spread damage, we can also go for Runan's Hurricane. 100% crit chance, a whole bunch bunch of attack damage that we're going to build, and this is going to be so much fun. I honestly cannot wait until this patch goes live, and this is going to absolutely blow your mind. Like I said, this is a new patch 4.4. You can see so many different things on this screen as well. You can see that there's gold underneath the scoreboard now where the numbers are. You can see the team's goal now, and look at this, you can go all the way down to the bottom and finally see the stats of the runes that you've been building in your games. You want to know how many maximum stacks you got with lethal tempo? It's got you covered. You want to know how much damage you've done with brutal? It's got you covered. You want to know how many stacks you are on for legend alacrity? It's got you covered. You want to know how much extra damage sudden impact has given you? It's got you covered. I'm so looking forward to the changes of patch 4.4. As I mentioned, I have a lot coming out as well. There's a lot of different content. We've got obviously fiddlesticks as well, which I'm going to be doing a full guide on, and this champion looks absolutely insane as well. But for this video, 1 hour on the dot, baby. That's what we love to see. 1 hour on the dot. Hopefully you all enjoyed this video. I'm really looking forward to bringing you all more content for Wild Rift patch 4.4. Until then, stay safe, and I'll see you all tomorrow for a new video on patch 4.4. Take care. Peace.